that has big time camp. What the movie will be the ultimate champ. You might think you're crazy, might think they're diseased, but they watch another child to find the best of beasts.
We rate each movie in 5 categories, none of which are objective quality.
It's Stan, G, and Jack and Nick who watch it till it's finished, because the love for this movie can be diminished. And maybe the film's plot has no rhyme or reason, but that's a part of charm.
Colin's breath is off the season.
It's low budget film that is much true. They find a flick that monster boogaloo. Kung Fu Electric Boogaloo. Kung Fu Electric Boogaloo. Kung Fu Electric Boogaloo. Kung Fu Electric Boogaloo.
Yakmala! Yakmala! Welcome back, my friends, to another season of the Kung Fu Electric Boogaloo. This is Season 11, and we are entering the Octagon. I am your host, 8th Dan Stanadu, and I am super happy to be with you today, but I am even more happy, if that seems possible, to be joined by my good friends. And I have James Cotta.
Oh, I wasn't ready to go first. I'm definitely set for the new season.
You are more hovering outside the Octagon than at that point.
Adjacent to the Octagon.
I was holding the door for you, but you didn't want to come in. All right.
Try not to get wrapped up in the Octagon. You don't want to get caught up in the Octagon. You may never escape.
Okay, Nick Boxer, do you want to enter the Octagon?
Greetings and salutations. I am always Octagon adjacent.
And Jack Hall, please tell me what your relation to the Octagon.
I'm refereeing. I'm refereeing the Octagon. You guys will fight it out, and I will just sit back there and eat chips and pretend that I care.
Show us on the doll where the Octagon touched.
Well, what the rest of us then apparently will be doing is we will be driving our cars into things, and we will be crashing and exploding, because that's what this movie was all about. This is the Charles Band movie.
If I want a genitalia correct doll to show you what it was like when it was touched, I will need a Ken one.
You don't have one hand. You don't have one handy. I assumed you would always have one within reach.
Oh, good point. Good point. I don't know what the hell I was saying with that.
I don't know where we're going.
We're definitely in the zone today.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So the Charles Band movie Crash. Let's talk about that, shall we?
Hashtag justice for Han.
Is it really?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm like, that's possible.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
All right, where do we want to? Someone want to summarize this?
Yeah, no,
Sure.
Doesn't sound
I
like
will
we've been
tell
on
you about
too long
Drive. All right,
Crash? You mean Crash?
Crash.
Oh, great!
That, oh shit! I watched the wrong movie. No, I watched Crash as well. That's okay, and that's Crash with the explanation mark. Little stick thingy with a dot underneath it.
Wait.
What did he say?
No. What did he think we were doing? What movie did?
I said Drive. It's the same movie. I'm pretty sure
No,
they're all the same.
I don't know. Summarize either one, and we'll see.
Yes. So, Crash. We start off with the trophy wife buying a gift for her elderly husband at a garage sale, a small idol. She then returns home, and the husband rejects both her and her gift and kicks her out on the street. She drives off, but then, in the most unlikely plan to succeed, the husband has trained a Doberman Pinscher to track down the car and attack her in it.
it would only be unlikely if it hadn't worked.
True, it did work. Doberman Pinscher jumps into the convertible, attacks the shit out of her. She crashes the car, and she does not die. She is disfigured and contracts amnesia. Clutching the little idol, she is taken to the hospital, where a doctor immediately falls in love with her and starts researching who this disfigured woman could possibly be. The trail leads back to the husband, and then a whole bunch of bad editing sort of denotes that the idol may be possessing things and trying to hurt people, but it is really confusing, the timeline of this movie, because we just see a car driving around this entire movie, and I didn't realize until about, 60 minutes in, that all that driving in the car actually takes place at the end of the freaking movie.
In fairness, I don't think you're supposed to understand that.
Okay.
I don't think you missed that. I don't think you're supposed to know that.
There's so much. Yeah. Anyway, keep going.
So
you're making it sound so much better than it is.
Oh boy, yeah.
Definitely more complicated than it is.
Yeah.
So by the end of the movie, all the players are in the same place, and we get a triumphant, demonic, cool conclusion, sorta, and the movie ends. That's all I got. But the chick is hot, and the guy is old, and there's a wheelchair, and the doctor falls in love.
The chick is hot. She was the chick from Lolita, Stanley Kubrick's Lolita.
See, now you have to make me feel bad.
Why would you? That's she's now an adult. Don't worry about it.
I know, but
she's dead now.
In fact, by that token, doesn't that mean that you would feel bad about any woman that you would potentially date? Oh my, they were a kid once.
Yeah.
No, just I don't like thinking about Lolita. It's a creepy movie. I'm sorry.
It's
sure in some sort. If you want to talk about Natalie Portman and the professional, I'll also feel bad. So.
Well, I mean, you're going to have a bad go with like the 18 different Fanning girls and the rest of their careers. That's most movies are going to be ruined for you in the next couple of decades.
Yeah.
Strangely, I got no problem with Linda Blair, but I think that was just because, The Exorcist doesn't overly sexualize children.
I was going to say because The Exorcist was so hot.
That whole
where do we start with this bad boy?
Oh.
No, I did love this film. Don't get me wrong. Like, I was skeptical going into it, and then I watched it. I'm like, this is some incredible boogaloo. Like, some of this stuff, like, he didn't say why it was that, when Nick was describing, he didn't say why it was that the dude kicked her out. He thinks that she's responsible for him being in the wheelchair.
Well, because the van exploded right off the bat, which I assume was them. Younger.
I think it was just, I think nothing. Maybe.
Sure.
Well,
that's as good a theory as any.
Yeah, sure. Fair enough. Yeah.
I
agree.
It's my guess.
I agree. I do love that this is like, I love every movie that has vehicles made out of dynamite.
Yes.
Because that van like bumps into a tree. It goes off the road, bumps into a tree, and then explodes into this fireball of van bits that somehow they made it through. Like,
yeah.
It turned out okay for them.
So many. You're right. Exploding vehicles in this for like minor car crashes.
Every vehicle explodes.
Boom.
It doesn't matter. Like, the dog attacks her, and then she gets out. She stops she runs off the road, and the car explodes after she's. It's.
course, nobody
was
can
trying
find her
to-
identity. That's the best part. I love that. But no, the car. Let's explain the dog. So she leaves in a car. Okay, in a car. I repeat,
wasn't it
in a
wasn't it
Yeah, I was
a
trying to
convertible?
work. Keep going, because I'm trying to work this out. I was also trying to work out the math on this.
in a car. She's driving, and the dude in the wheelchair gets the dog and talks to him for a while, basically telling him he should go and do the attack. And then the dog is running through like these, like kind of, I don't know, because I don't know what country they're in, but these
It's
like
in California.
wooded. Are you sure?
Yes.
I thought it was another country. I literally thought this was like somewhere, I don't know, Casablanca. I don't know. She's running through this like wooded kind of sand thing, like cutting through it, and knows the exact path so that when he comes down from he jumps from and quite a stunt actually. He jumps from this sanded area through the car window that she has down, didn't she? Or was it a convertible?
It's a convertible.
I can't
It
remember.
was a convertible.
Convertible. Yeah, it's a convertible. Yeah, he jumps in and starts biting her. And then the crash happens. Luckily the dog gets away. And then the problem is that the dude in the wheelchair then decides, oh no, she lived, because he hears on the news radio or TV or whatever the hell it is, TV, news, radio, they're the same thing, and he hears that she's that there's a woman with amnesia, in a car crash, and he figures it out as her, and so he decides in his wheelchair that he will stealthily sneak into the hospital to murder her. Because he's worried when she regains his memory, she'll remember the dog attacked her, and it'll lead back as a murder attempt. Because it couldn't just be that the dog went crazy and you didn't have control of it. Because dogs will only run through a desert and attack somebody in a car if it's a murder attempt. This is a great movie.
Okay.
Now, I was a little
Nobody
confused.
agrees with me. The boogaloo levels here and the lack of logic in this script is incredible.
I was trying to work out the map of like the spatial relationships of these things, because at one point she is taken to a hospital. They find her car 15 miles away from where they found her, and it is 30 miles from where the cop is to get to her house. So trying to figure out how either she walked a really far distance after wrecking the car.
She must have.
Also, the dog must have run a really long distance to have done that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Two directions.
She's going like 60 miles or like 40, 50 miles an hour, because it was like a highway. It's
like
not
a
like
word-
it's
It's a word,
Highway
it's like a word
61.
problem, but I think it's a word it's like one of those SAT word problems. But I think the dog was 15 miles away from the house when he attacked her.
Yes.
At a minute.
in about a minute and a half. Did I mention this is a great movie?
It was awesome.
Now, I had actually assumed that the car somehow dropped her off where she could be found.
That's as good as anything.
No, because the car exploded, didn't it?
Well,
Or did-
I thought it did, yes, and then it came back because
it came
and the fact that
Because-
the car was even just driving around and doing all that stuff was really weird.
Yeah,
by itself.
Okay,
Because
this brings up an interesting point, because the concept of enter the Octagon, we should probably mention, is that we each picked a movie that would represent a potential season to compete against each other. And Nick, this is your movie, and the season that you were pitched is what?
Unlikely Possessions.
Unlikely Possessions. So, I mean, you mentioned the car was driving around. We never mentioned that it's driving around without anybody in it. Like it's driving around by itself, causing all these accidents and being chased by the police that make the police from Smoking the Bandits incompetent. because there's just like it's being chased by all these police officers, and instead of being able to catch the car, they all just get run over. Like the car will. There's one point where the car is driving, and slowly they have it blocked out, and slowly uses a blockade to just kind of go around them, like just kind of rolls up the hill a little bit and goes around them. And I don't know how they were doing this effect, but it kind of goes up and around them, and then they chase them, and like I say, it barely bumps another car. Like everybody goes off the road. I'm like, it's not going very fast. It doesn't have anybody in it, and they didn't have the technology to just, it's unbelievable. Like this movie is. I think,
awesome.
And then it's awesome. And then at the end, there was all these, like I say, what they did was they showed that it was actually like you're seeing all these crashes with no context and all this car being chased, and you're thinking, is that her car? Like, what's going on? And then they show you that it's kind of like they use all these crashes to try to tie it back in together. So that that, she was possessing it and you're seeing the past and blah, blah, blah or something. I don't know. All I know is I think whatever they did, they thought was properly explaining everything, but it wasn't. And I think that's one of the best parts. Now it's too bad we saw the version that's on Tubi. All of us watched it out there, I presume. I know I did, right? And everybody else?
I did, yes.
Did not know there was another version.
There is the French version, where what they did was they just took out all the shots of the crashes in the movie until the end. So at the end, they have the crashes in this one. But in that one, that means they just have all the crashes twice, but nothing before that. None of the driving around of the car takes place because they thought it was projected in an unsafe.
And insanely redundant.
Now, were they scared cars would get a bad example and start driving around without drivers?
They thought people would try and have their cars drive around with no drivers. Yeah. So they just edited the crashes together at the end, which means that you just saw each crash twice with no, like, even less context.
And it was like the movie was 5 minutes long. It was more than 5 minutes of the movie of repeating all the crashes.
Minutes. Yeah, the movie was 73 minutes in the French cut.
What a great...
And this one's
I would have thought it was
85.
Yeah, I would have thought you'd have to cut more to get it down. Yeah, it's 88 or 89 or something like that.
Oh man, I wish I could have seen that French cut. Yes.
Clearly, from where you're talking there, Stan, you're not a fan.
To be honest with you, so I watched this movie just over a week ago. I'll just give a little bit of this away. When I was trying to think about Crash, I couldn't remember anything that happened in the movie.
Really?
No, nothing at all.
And I watched it probably 2 weeks ago, and I remember it tons. And James there, Jim Cotta, he watched it, I think, about a year and a half ago.
I think so. Yeah,
we never to organize ourselves to get together and do this one, and remember stuff. So I don't know. It's all you.
Maybe I don't know. Pay attention to the movie while you're watching it, and then you'd be able to retain more.
I was a little bored.
At some point, it's not the movie's fault. It's your own.
The movie was there properly to entertain you.
It was running. I don't know where you.
I was busy watching. Going back.
It was strikingly boring for a movie with this many car crashes. I'll give it that.
Yes.
There's a lot of empty time in this movie.
The car crashes are fantastic. There's no question. Every time a car crashed, my interest was with the movie. And I remember, and afterwards it was like, is that the one with all the cars that crashed? Oh, right. Yes. I don't know why they were crashing and exploding in that movie.
Actually, given the number of car crashes and explosions, did you guys interpret, were the cops dying in these?
Oh yeah.
Or okay.
Our hero was killing all these innocent cops. Yes, on our way to get there.
That's the way I saw it too, but I wasn't actually sure because actually, as violent as this movie is, it's not explicit what's going on. You're not really sure.
Yep.
Like, did they have time to get out? Because that car crashed really slow.
This movie makes sense. Don't worry. You did not.
Are you sure the cop cars aren't also self-driving? I mean, did you take that into account?
Yeah. This was spectacular.
Good stuff.
It really was.
I had fairly recently rewatched Death Proof, and really felt a lot of DNA there.
Oh yeah.
Just the way the car crashes were done, the way that the car chases were being done.
Now, if you're watching car crash movies and getting DNA in the way, I think you've watched the Cronenberg crash way too many times.
We mentioned the fantastic actors that are in this film.
Jose Ferrer, yes.
Jose Ferrer, who in 1976 already looked 100 years old.
Yes. Well, the age difference between him and Sue Lyon is ridiculous.
Sue Lyon, known from Lolita. She was Lolita in the Lolita film, and we have a little bit part by John Carradine, who I didn't audit. Go ahead.
Oh, he needed to be in this movie more.
Yeah, he was only there for one day for filming.
I know, and I didn't immediately recognize him because he wasn't a floating head. The only other movie I saw from Carradine around this in the 70s was Frankenstein Island, where he's a disembodied head,
which was brilliant.
Which is brilliant. I love that just to bring him in for a little bit though. That was awesome.
So here's an interesting piece of trivia because we talk about the car crashes. Did you guys know that not the FBI? I mean, the FBI has one too, but in the Department of Motor Vehicles in the United States has a top 10 list. And because of this movie, the director Charles Band was put for buying all these old cars and exploding them, put on their top 10 list where he stayed for more than a decade.
Wow.
Yeah, this movie's awesome. I know.
I like at one point, the doctor has her. She has like it's like a cursed item basically, and that's what animates the car. Is it an amulet or something like that? I forgot that part.
There's it isn't. Yeah, because it's like a statue, but then they just take out the outside of the statue.
Yeah,
and
well, then at one point it draws a whole bunch of metal things together, and someone says it has strange magnetic powers. I'm like, that's regular magnetic powers.
It's just a magnet.
That's what a magnet's supposed to do.
Oh, this movie's so great.
Now, and other than the car, the only other thing it possesses is his wheelchair for like 30 seconds.
Right? You got to leave something for the WTFs. That was the best. That was the scene where I started laughing so hard that I almost choked.
We may be ready to go into scoring pretty quickly here.
It may not be a bad idea because when that happened, I just lost it. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do that then. Welcome back to new season. This is season 11, if you can believe that. In our search for the ultimate B movie, we rate each film in 5 categories. None of those is objective quality. The first category is called Schlock Appeal, and we start with Stan.
Well, I simply based on the ratio of car crash to explosion, which is very high. I'm going to give this a 6. I didn't love the movie, but I loved the fact that if a car crashed, it exploded.
You can respect the car crashedness.
Yes.
Driverless cars, punctuation in the title. Jose Ferrer, I'm sorry, but I have to give this movie an 9 on the Schlock Appeal.
9 is indeed the correct score for this wonderful piece of cinema.
I'll cut it down the middle and give it a 7. I do like that it had exclamation mark in the title, though. That's good.
It is, yeah.
We need more of
it
that.
helps. It helps to distinguish it from the other Crash movies, all 900.
That's right. There are a lot of movies named Crash. This one deserved the Oscar.
This one did.
Of all the movies named Crash, it is one of the two that deserved an Oscar. Tragically, it went to the other one. More heart than budget.
Well, they exploded a lot of cars. I'll give them that. That seems like it's a good use of the budget. Bringing in Jose Ferrer and John Carradine, I'll suggest. Jose Ferrer confused me because of course he was very boring throughout. But he was Jose Ferrer.
I didn't see the budget on it. Did anybody see the budget on this one?
No, I couldn't turn one up.
Okay.
No, I mean it's Charles Band, so we're assuming that it's really, really cheap. I'm gonna go with the 6.
This is a extremely watchable movie. A lot of paycheck players, though. I'll go with the 7.
And I think that 6 is actually the correct score for this. If there's one thing this movie, it was just a bunch of car crashes, and they had more money clearly to do this than you would have figured. And I'm like, dudes, yeah, 6 is the right score.
I think mine will be a 6, but a +1 for making sure John Carradine was getting his insurance through SAG. So a 7 for me. All right,
yes.
And now the one we've been waiting for,
because we haven't discussed any WTFs so far.
Yeah, we haven't hit any of the WTFs, the what the fuck moments.
All right. Well, I won't. I'll just leave a little. I'll just take a few couple things here. So one thing in the early scene where the van explodes, which confused the hell out of me. Of course, it confused the hell out of all of us. But one of the things that I noticed and appreciated at the time was the fact that there was a body flying out of the van, and the body flew out of the van, and the head flew out separately from the body. And then, of course, it's just like, oh, here's Jose Ferrer in his wheelchair, having survived exploding and being decapitated, in my opinion. But so that was a little bit what the fuck. The fact that the flea market that she was attending to pick up the idol was in a drive-in movie theater, and I
didn't notice that. That's fantastic.
Because she was parked off to the side, and I'm like, there's no other person parked at this. And I'm like, so did they just shoot her parking at a drive-in? No. They pulled back to reveal the flea market is actually in the drive-in. I mean, there's nobody else parked there, but she's parked there. So that was impressive. I will definitely leave it to you, Jack, to talk about the wheelchair.
I call the wheelchair.
Yeah, but
shotgun on the wheelchair.
But honestly, that eons of the car crashes being relived and edited together as a montage, that was what the fuck as hell. Like, talk about slowing down the movie right at the end when you think you want to bring it up.
I thought we'd get 1 or 2. No, it's all of them.
It's all of them. Yes, every single one of them.
Minutes. That was on my list. 6.5 minutes is the actual screen time.
Oh my god!
Unbelievable.
Of complete. My note next to that says, "Jesus fuck, we get it."
Yes. I will give it a 7 for reliving the car crashes over and over and over.
Oh god.
So my favorite WTF, I believe, was the elderly couple. How much satisfaction how innocent they actually were versus how much I enjoyed seeing them violently get crushed.
They did not deserve their fate at all.
No, these are nice people, although they were just annoying enough that when their entire car was driven over and they obviously had horrible deaths, I was like, yeah, finally, these guys are off the freaking road.
That's
But
true. If I was driving behind them, I would have been annoyed.
yeah,
So they deserve to die.
I feel bad for enjoying their deaths. So but this movie isn't, well, there's a lot of WTF, but considering that, we're putting this on in the Octagon with like Furious and stuff, I can only give this one a 6.
Oh wow.
No, I'm about 7. 7 is where I feel comfortable. Yeah.
Oh, I think that's too low. I got a 9 on this. I mean, I like there's many scenes where we're talking about how there is, and we're like, I don't know how they actually drove the car or whatever, but there are many scenes in the car crash where you can see a driver in the cars, in the car there causing it. It's like just wonderful.
Well, I like the fact that you can see the helmets on the drivers as they go off the cliffs and stuff like that.
I know. It's so great. Oh man, I think this thing's just so fantastic. So the scene, like I say, the wheelchair scene that we're talking about is a dude in the wheelchair. He's in his bed or chair or something like that. He's in a room.
It's Jose Ferrer, man. Come on.
Yeah, was he in a wheelchair in the room? No, he was just like sitting in a chair, right?
He was in his bed.
He was in his bed. Okay, he's on the side of his bed then, because he's he's up, isn't he? He was upright.
He was sitting upright in his bed.
Yeah, sitting upright in his bed, and suddenly, the chick, the Sue Lyons chick, his wife, who didn't try and kill him, that he used to play a lot of tennis with, so he's upset because he can't play tennis with her, and he thinks she tried to kill him, and made him, invalid. When she gets possessed, every now and then she like. Yeah, you see her, and they have this makeup on her from the accident, and then like they make her eyes like, I don't know, trying to make them demonically red and this and that, and all of a sudden you see him in his bed, and his wheelchair has now been possessed by her, just like the car. But the thing is, the door's not open, the door's closed, so this wheelchair, which isn't moving very fast, just explodes through the door, and the door flies everywhere, and you totally don't expect it, and just like parts of the door go flying, and then it tries to, I don't know how the chair is supposed to hurt a man who's in his bed and kill him, a wheelchair, like but he's taking his I don't know, cane thing, or his not cane, because he's able to stand for a moment. What do you call him? The crutch. And he's like banging it with its crutch, which apparently is the proper defense to a demonic wheelchair, because that manages to stop it. It's just like such an insane scene. I loved it. It was like, it made no sense. It was terrible. It's just the smashing of the door. Like, I know it's demonically possessed, but you have to see how much it sends that door flying to believe it, because apparently, what are the doors made out of in California?
Dynamite, same as everything else.
Yes,
it's so great.
Oh, you bring a lot of joy to this. I like it.
I believe dynamite construction is a safety protocol in California.
Yeah.
I'd say
that's Boogaloo construction. That's
standard Boogaloo construction. Yeah, I agree.
Most of my stuff has been hit. There's a couple of at one point near the end, Jose's wheelchair keeps changing from a motorized wheelchair to a non-motorized wheelchair within the same scene. Yeah, it just like flops back and forth depending on what I suspect it's because the motorized wheelchair wouldn't fit through.
Because he's being chased by an what was he being chased by? Another vehicle or something?
It happens a couple of times. It happens before when I think it's when one of the cops comes to see him or something. Or no, when she comes home or something, because he has to go through a doorway, and I suspect that the motorized wheelchair just doesn't fit, so they had to switch to a different one. And the other thing I thought was really wacky was there's a bit where she's in the hospital, and she gets the possessed eyes and the all red and everything's all scary, and stuff starts moving around in the room. Tables are rattling. A wheelchair goes back and forth, and then it stops. And then like the doctor's told that the room was in a complete shambles. I'm like, I'm not sure anything was even knocked over. Like, no. Like, I think the flowers are still up at the end of that. The nurse is clearly overestimating what a complete shambles is. All right, I'm going to go with a 7 though. Memorable moments.
Well, this one was not memorable to me.
You may have telegraphed this.
Yeah, for sure.
You may have gotten a sense already of where you're going to go with this.
Yeah. I mean, I remember more as we talk about it, but there's no question that before it, for like 2 days, I was just like, no. So I'm just going to go with 3.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of this sticks. I'm going to just go with 4.
I mean, you're right. It doesn't stick as it doesn't stick as memorable moment. It only sticks as WTF moments. Like, that's the thing. There's nothing but, except for the car crashes, which also themselves did have a little bit of, maybe not just a little bit, probably is underselling it. Probably had a lot of boogaloo to them. But the car crashes are pretty memorable, I think. So I'll give it a little bit higher. I'll go with a 6 because I love this movie.
I also struggled to remember anything of this movie before we sat down to watch. As soon as I saw a couple of minutes, as soon as I realized, like, oh yeah, Jose Ferrer, like that, it all came back. But I did struggle to try to remember. I'm going to go with a 4 as well. Our final category is crazy concept.
This one, there's so many movies out there that have cars that drive on their own. Yet at the same time, I feel like that isn't actually the driving force of this movie, which is it's almost like a sideline. So then it comes down to this concept of like crazy old man trying to kill his younger wife with an idol, but she's the one who controls the idol. He knows what the idol is. I mean, I'm up in the air on this, but I'm gonna go with 6.
Yeah, I think if you searched, you could find similar movies out there. Execution is a little bit more insane. Yeah, I can only give this a 6. Am I correct?
I think you could only
6,
give it a 6.
I'll say it. Okay, I'll do it this time. 6 is the correct score again. You guys have both been correct so far. It is a crazy. But anytime you're doing anything possession, especially in the 70s, it doesn't feel very fresh. The execution's a little crazy, but it doesn't feel very fresh. So yeah, 6 is indeed the correct score.
This feels like a weird category this season because each one is supposed to have other movies like it. That's the whole point. The whole point is that if it does really well, we're going to have 7 more of these guys, or 8 more of these guys.
I don't think the next movie is going to have anything quite like it. So.
Yeah, we get a couple of categories that aren't like that, but yeah, this is supposed to be, an example of. I think I would be really low on this because there are a lot of possessed car stories. But usually when you have a car crash movie like this, you've got a whole bunch of car crash stuff and then you wrap a story around it. And this isn't that.
No.
This is very much not that. They have this like domestic violence and possession story, and there happen to be car crashes in it. So that I think twists it a little bit. I'm still only going to go with a 5 though. And each season we have 6 secret modifiers. This film does get 2 of them. We brought back the rarity category, so the bonus for having under 500 votes on IMDb. Quite impressed by that. The movie this old that has barely been touched on IMDb. It also does introduce someone new to the Octagon, bringing in both Charles Band and Jose Ferrer.
All right.
Giving it
It's
a
iconic.
Dude,
Yeah,
we had
those
a
guys are
Charles-
iconic. So
We did have a Charles Band movie before, though, didn't we?
he produced it. He didn't direct it.
Yeah, directing one, which gives us a 65.5 out of 100, the exact same score as Big City Blues.
This is so much better than Big City Blues.
Oh no way, man! This is
so
like,
much
This
better.
movie has exactly the same. It has the opposite division the Big City Blues had,
Yeah.
which Stan really didn't care for it. Actually, Stan's score ended up being pretty respectable.
well, there's no question that there's Boogaloo in the movie. In this case, I actually just didn't. It just didn't engage me as much. See, unlike Jack, who was unwilling to find any Boogaloo whatsoever with Big City Blues.
I hated that movie. And I've been watching almost nothing but Burt Reynolds movies ever since. So, yeah, man, I hated that movie.
Yeah, I'll spend some more time relitigating that. All right, 65.5. That was respectable.
We'll be
score.
going through our graves talking about how we were right and wrong about that movie.
Respectable score puts it in the top half.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's number one down. I know.
I think being in the top half, even though a respectable score, I do not think this will be enough
No, I don't
to
think
win
we are.
to win against in the Octagon. But
We are not
we'll
doing
see.
this season. Unlikely. Unless everything else really falls
Right.
out.
We're gonna have a rough 7 episodes, honestly.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I am planning to sabotage future scores to prove you guys wrong, but
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we're supposed to do it.
Great.
Yeah, definitely.
Suddenly the
Good idea. Thanks. Thanks.
I expect everyone to respect the Octagon more than that.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Why don't we do some business before we can get on out into the new movie?
All right. Well, speaking of the Octagon that we have mentioned many, many times, if you go to wetalkpodcasts.com, you can look at the Octagon, which is our ongoing record of our search, sortable in all the categories. And also, We Talk Podcasts has a Twitter, and they have a Facebook. And we, Kung Fu Electric Boogaloo, have an Instagram.
Yeah,
And
yes.
you should subscribe and rate and review our show everywhere you can find it on your favorite podcast site.
There you go.
And if you don't, you're an asshole.
Yes, absolute. Just bastard.
You're welcome.
Yeah, just like us. But all right. So next episode, we are going back in time to 1934 to talk about Maniac or Sex Maniac by Dwayne Esper. So I know that's going to be really interesting to score for sure. I'm interested in how that one goes. Otherwise, that's episode 2. This is season 11, Enter the Octagon. I'm excited so far. Anybody else have anything to say? Appears not. Great. So
No, I'm good.
All right.
Please edit out the bit about me touching the Ken doll.
But
sure.
leave in the part where he asks you to edit it out.
Yeah. All right. For Jim, and for Jack, and for Nick, I am your host, 8th Dan Stanadu, and thanks for listening to the Kung Fu Electric Boogaloo!
There is a foolish superstition that some objects possess powers beyond anything human.
Thanks.
A foolish superstition. A strange force operating in the head of a killer dog, wreaking vengeance and death on the road.
And this word, she kept repeating this word. I'm sure. I was so frightened. Something like Oxa.
A car driven by revenge. The power of a woman whose mind is possessed.
you say it. It depicts a kaza. Something wrong, Dr. Martin?
No, I've just heard that word before. What's it mean?
All I can tell you is he's an unpleasant character dedicated to vengeance, hatred, and violence. It's really an occult matter, Dr. Martin.
A trail of splintered steel and shattered glass. Bloody bodies strewn across the landscape. Evil screaming down the highway.
Wasn't it? You did it.
There is a foolish superstition that some objects possess power beyond anything human. A foolish superstition? Escape from the power of the occult. Stalking like a hunter, it finds its prey. Where death is in the driver's seat.